So there are two kinds of dialogues in version 4 of Kerberos authentication server. Already we have seen about a simple authentication dialog, and now what we are going to see is the more secure authentication dialog. So in a more secure authentication dialog, there is an involvement of the ticket granting server, TGS. So in order to obtain the services of a server, it may be an email server or print server or a database server, whatever may be the type of the server, you have to get a ticket and then only you can access the server. That is a simple authentication dialog. Authentication dialog is concerned, we need to have three kinds of, we are having three classifications in which, number one, first we have to obtain the ticket granting ticket. So we have to obtain the this ticket from the authentication server, and this ticket granting ticket is used to get the original ticket from the TGS, that is ticket granting server. So the first service is called as the authentication service exchange, which is used to obtain the ticket granting ticket. For that, there are two dialogues. One is a message exchange from the client to the authentication server. What does he reveal? He will give, the client will give his identity plus the ID of the TGS with the timestamp. So TGS is the ticket granting server. So there is an exclusive server apart from the original server to provide the ticket granting ticket. Okay. Then the authentication server issues the ticket that is TGS ticket in the way of encrypted message. So in that he will include the lifetime also. That is, the authentication server AS will send a message to the client with the encrypted message of the ticket. What ticket? TGS ticket. Now we need ticket V. What is V? V is the server. So we need to get ticket V to obtain the service of the server. Before that only, we have to get the ticket TGS to get the service granting ticket. You understand? There is a difference between the ticket TGS and ticket V. So the authentication server will give the ticket TGS in an encrypted manner with a lifetime and with a new timestamp. TS1 is the timestamp of client to authentication server. TS2 is the timestamp from authentication server to the client. So what is the lifetime here? The lifetime here is the period in which the particular message can remain in the internet. So it starts decrementing. For example, 5 minutes means 4.59, 4.58, 57, 56, like that. It starts decrementing. If it reaches 0, the message will not be received by client because the lifetime is expired. And also with the timestamp of this particular message, there is a new timestamp. For example, 11 o'clock is the timestamp 1, means it may be TS2 will be maybe 11:05. So there must be a difference between the message timings. All these things are done for securing or having more authentication. Okay. So these two messages, client to authentication server and authentication server to client, is the authentication service exchange to obtain the ticket granting ticket. Then there are two more messages that are exchanged from the client to the TGS. What is the TGS? Ticket granting server. So what is this message is to obtain the service granting ticket. That is, the two messages are exchanged, which is called as ticket granting service exchange, which is mainly used to obtain the service granting ticket. So client to a message is passed from client to TGS. TGS is the server, ticket granting server, not the original server. What does he give? He gives the identity ID of the server, that is IDV. Then already he has possessed ticket TGS, that one, and the authenticator. These are the contents of the message from client to TGS. TGS, what he has to provide? He has to provide the ticket to access the server. To whom? To the client, that is ticket V. So how does he give? The fourth message which is exchanged is from the TGS to the client. So TGS will encrypt the ticket to be used to access the server, original server, with timestamp, with the identity of the server. All these things are encrypted using the key. Okay, encrypted using the key, and the message is given to the client. Now the client will possess the ticket to access the server. Until now, he doesn't possess. Now only after the fourth message only, the client is possessing the ticket to access the server. So this is where the more secure authentication dialog comes. In the previous case, a simple authentication dialog, there is no such ticket granting service or ticket granting ticket, nothing. Directly, the client will access, give his details, and gets the ticket. Now, the fifth message is between the client and the original server. What does he possess client now? Now, client now is having the ticket V. What is the ticket V? It is the ticket or the token that is used to access the server V. Here we name the server as V. So ticket V plus the authenticator is sent to the server. Now he will start obtaining the service of the server. The client starts getting the service of the server. What is the service? That is whether it may be a database or email or a print, whatever may be there, or a website. So any type of service which is provided by the server is obtained after this message. That is fifth message. Then sixth one is not essential, but it is also taken into consideration. The timestamp plus one. The server gives back the message to the client with the timestamp, the received timestamp. 11 o'clock means 11 o'clock plus 1. 11 in the encrypted manner. So these six messages or dialogues we call are ensuring the more secure authentication between the client and the server. Once this is done, now the client has authenticated the server and the server has also authenticated the client. So therefore, further communications can be without any drop off or everything has been authenticated. Both the client and the server has been authenticated. Therefore, they can start communicating after these six messages have been exchanged. So this is where the Kerberos comes into force. So Kerberos, as I told you earlier, is a project developed by MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, under the project Athena. So this Kerberos server can be implemented for an organization where they need the authentication to be more secure. Now this one will give you the overview of the Kerberos. So there are six messages that are exchanged, as I told you earlier. The first one, the user logs on to the computer or the client and requests the ticket granting ticket. To whom? To the authentication server. Then he gets the ticket plus the session key. Then, he gives the message to the request for service granting ticket. Then he gets the ticket plus the session key. Then he requests the server. Then the server provides the message, and the previous six dialogues or six messages will work as follows. So we have got the workstation or the client, and we have got two servers. One is the authentication server, and another one is the ticket granting server. The ticket granting server only issues a ticket. Okay, that is service granting ticket. And the authentication server here issues the ticket granting ticket. Okay, and finally we have the server where the service is provided to the workstation or the client. That is once per, all these things are done. The first exchange is done once per logon. Whenever the user comes to the system client and he logs in, he has to request for the ticket granting ticket. To whom? To the authentication server. The authentication server gives back the reply with the ticket and the session key in an encrypted manner. What does he give? He gives the ticket granting ticket. Now, this is done for once per logon. So to obtain the type of service, to obtain the type of service, he gives the client, that is a workstation, he requests for service granting ticket. I want this particular service from the server, original server, that is a main server. So for that, he gives the request by possessing the ticket granting ticket. Okay, then he gets the ticket, that is the ticket for the server from the TGS, ticket granting server. So this is done once per type of service. I want to obtain a particular service from the server. I'm doing this only once. Then in order to get the service once per service means from whom I'll get the service? From the main server. From the main server, I'll get the service. So he has now, the workstation or the user is now in possession of the ticket V, that is the ticket that is used to get a request from the server, main server. So that is issued, and the server will provide the service to the workstation. So this is the sixth message that is being exchanged. So these things are done in order to have more secure authentication. These 6 kind of messages are exchanged to have more secure authentication, and this is how the Kerberos version number 4 for more secure authentication works. So if you have any questions on this, the students can ask.